back to another episode of the Retail Perch, and we're getting into the second month of the year already, 2023. I mean, when you say time goes fast, it zooms along.
Literally.
And literally, given the fact that we're on Zoom. So I guess this has been crazy, but we've already had a couple of really interesting episodes so far on the Retail Perch. And Gary, I'd say we've got some really good guests so far.
Yeah, we have. No, that starting out the year in great shape, and sure to get even better as we go.
Yeah, and I think I have a newfound appreciation for the number of dimensions of retail and the different opportunities and challenges that are presented here. So we're going to be talking about one more, and we have a very interesting guest, again, from north of the border. It looks like we're attracting more people from north of the border into our show. But I'm going to let Sean introduce himself, but it's a very interesting area. Again, one we've never broached on the Retail Perch, but I'll let Sean share his background and what his company does. So please help me welcome Sean. I know you're not a football coach, but there is a football coach with your same name, just in case you didn't know. But
well, thanks, Shekar and Gary.
From Engagement Agents. Here you go.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, and hopefully I'll start your February off on a setting the bar high. But yeah, my name's Sean Snyder. I'm a former retailer. I like to think of myself still as a fellow retailer. And just a quick story of myself. I was with a 85 store retail chain here in Canada called Stitch It Clothing Alterations, and I was heading up their sales and marketing as part of their executive team. And what wound up happening is I quickly realized that Stitch It was spending millions of dollars every year as part of their leases for marketing. So it's baked into whether it's the gross rent, the CAM fees, promo funds, percentage rent, no two leases are the same, and they weren't really doing anything with it. So I jokingly called it the world's most expensive gym membership, and wound up trying to do this work amongst our stores, and it just really became almost impossible to do manually the old-fashioned way. So what wound up happening is I took the initiative to do it myself, and it was just an utter nightmare to manage. So 6 years ago, wound up building a solution called Engagement Agents, and that's what we've been focused on, presenting our solution to the tenants and retailers.
Wow. So let me just ask you just clarification. So Stitch It was paying some kind of lease, which included in it a number of other things where you could use it for marketing and I guess on digital and physical properties within the shopping area that Stitch It was in. Is that right?
Yeah. So I'll say for the most part, every shopping center has what we'll kind of call their marketing ecosystem. So think of it as they've got their own they've got their own retail media network, if you will. So for Stitch It, basically, if you can envision and to follow along with that theme of the media network, they basically had 85 different media networks, if you will, because they were in 85 different properties. And to this whole point, really the problem is the industry's fragmented and none of them talk to each other. So in the normal course of business, when we started to try to utilize these opportunities or this ecosystem, we initially really left it up to the store managers and said, okay, store managers, you know your shopping center, you know the area, so here's the marketing collateral, go distribute it out through your shopping center's marketing channels, which we, on reflection, we wanted the store managers focus on servicing more customers and selling more on the store floor versus worrying about, is the shopping center promoting what's going on this week, whether it's a event we were putting on or a sale or a gift with purchase or a new product or service we were offering. And then to that point, then I wound up taking that responsibility on myself, because again, we said it didn't make sense to have multiple people doing the same thing multiple times. And then that's really when the frustration kicked in, because literally I was doing the same amount of work 85 times.
Right.
And Sean, for background, it's, I think, pretty common practice in the real estate industry, right? If you're a tenant of a strip center or a mall or whatever, that part of your lease requires some kind of payment into a marketing fund for that property, correct?
So again, I'll generalize and say yes. Depends on the property, depends on the tenant. There may be cases, so specific to the grocery retailers that are in a shopping center. And again, I'm just generalizing this. They may not be paying into a marketing fund, but they're paying a variable or percentage rent, which then objectively would mean that technically it's in the shopping center's best interest to promote the grocery retailer, because the more sales the grocery store does, the more money the shopping center makes. Therefore, technically you're paying for it, right? So it's not in some cases, which to this point, most retailers or tenants don't know, it may be explicit in the agreement, it might be implicit, because to the point, every shopping center has these channels available and they want the tenants engaged. So there's really a couple problems happening, right? So if you talk to the shopping centers, they've got all these opportunities for their tenants. They want the tenants to use them because they've got them available, and they obviously want to drive more traffic and sales to the property and to the tenants, and it's in everybody's best interest. The challenge generally, when we hear it from shopping centers, is they say, well, it's like pulling teeth trying to get the retailers engaged, because to kind of what I was saying earlier, most shopping centers have the relationship with the store manager and not the corporate office. So then when you get into, let's say, I don't know, Boxing Week or Black Friday or post-Christmas or Valentine's Day is upcoming, that the challenge that shopping centers have is they can't get the tenants engaged, because by the time they go to the store manager and say, hey, we're going to do a Valentine's Day push, tell us what's going on, the store manager might not know, or they don't have the assets and they've got to get them. And by the time they get them, it's February 14th. So the opportunity has come and gone.
And then you have to do this 85 times in your store, because it's 85 different store managers dealing with the individual property owners to do all. There's no centralized mechanism to push this content and program.
Yeah, so the real problem is the industry's fragmented, and each shopping center kind of operates in its own little island, or if you want to call, like, if you stick with my earlier analogy, each shopping center is its own little gym.
Right.
Right. So you've got to go. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Gary.
So your client really is the retailer, and you're providing a service to them, helping optimize or make sure they're getting full value for their marketing spend across those 85 different properties, or however many that they're in.
Yeah, so specifically what our engagement agents platform is doing is we've made it super easy for the retailers or the tenants to execute their marketing campaigns at scale across these different ecosystems or media networks, if you will, that the shopping centers have. So to your point, yes, the retailers are maximizing all these opportunities that they have available to them that they're technically paying for. So again, I kind of use the analogy of basically, we're going to the gym and working out, and we're helping the retailer get big and strong or lean and mean. And if, to this point, somebody came to my door right now and said, hey, Sean, for whatever, $19.99 a month, I'm going to go work out at the gym for you, and you're going to get lean and fit and big and strong, like, sign me up today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So are they paying for this on top of what they're already paying the shopping mall for the lease?
Yeah. So our model is we charge a monthly fee. It's a SaaS model, so subscription as service model. And we charge a fee or investment per location based on the number of locations a retailer has or a tenant has that have marketing. So it does vary depending on the property, but generally speaking, we've been able to confidently show the retailers or tenants that with our platform, we can be more effective for them and generate more ROI for them instead of doing this work manually the old-fashioned way. So it's taking huge, to kind of what I was saying earlier, taking this huge weight off the store manager. So again, they can go spend that hour every week selling more on the store floor and selling, who knows, right, $1,000 more of groceries.
There's an operational efficiency element here.
Huge. Right? And Shekar, to that point, I mean, the more stores, the bigger the problem is, because it grows exponentially.
Sure.
Correct. That's terrific. So on the back end, what you've done is you've kind of built the integrations into these different shopping malls to distribute the content. Is that how I'm reading?
Yeah, so what we've done is the painstaking, cumbersome process of getting all the intricacies property by property, because to this point they're all fragmented. And again, I guess the best analogy would be we've sort of mapped every shopping center's highway, and we then act as a air traffic controller so that when, let's say, Levi's, who's one of our customers, goes in and has their different campaigns, we're basically acting as an air traffic controller and making sure that the Levi's campaigns are getting out and also getting executed by their shopping centers, so that Levi's knows and has a level of insight and transparency to know which shopping centers are executing the campaigns and how they're being promoted to drive more traffic and sales to Levi's and their shopping centers.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Really cool. Terrific.
Yeah.
So,
And
and how are you measuring ROI then?
Yeah, great question. So we basically are tapping into however the retailers manage the ROI today. So the retailers, there's no technology integration or heavy lifting for them. It's literally however they measure their success of their marketing campaigns today.
Got it.
Because generally speaking, this is part of their marketing campaign mix, right? So in the simplest form, if I go to a retailer and I walk by and see the poster in the window, so it's, let's say, their new shoe collection or a BOGO or a gift with purchase, in most cases, that's what the retailers are communicating out to the shopping centers. So then therefore there's a consistent experience and message for customers. So when they see it on the shopping center's app, or they get an email from the shopping center about, hey, there's a gift with purchase at so-and-so retailer, that when they walk by the store, they'll see that exact same poster. So hopefully, the frequency's there to trigger the customer, like, I'm going in and shopping at this retailer and they've got the gift with purchase.
Got it. Got it. Cool. So, what kind of metrics do you provide back to the retailer? You provide me.
Yeah, so we can provide, general metrics in terms of engagement with the properties, in terms of on a property by property level. So the retailers can see which shopping centers are promoting it and how often and how long it takes them. And then we can, depending on the property, share like clicks and impressions, so that the retailers can see what impact they're having, so that they can make better business and marketing decisions, even on a property by property level or a regional.
Are you doing this only on like mobile and web, or are you also doing it on physical, like TVs they may have and displays within the?
Yeah, great question. So the ecosystem, again, it varies property by property, to this whole point about the fragmentation. But it's everything from the mobile sites, websites, apps, if the shopping centers have them, email marketing campaigns, social media, in-mall digital sign, and or even physical opportunities that might exist at the property. I guess I should also mention, just on this topic, it also inclusive of like lifestyle centers or outlets, shopping centers, malls. So it's really about locations that offer their tenants marketing support versus being limited to just shopping centers or malls. And I bring that up because I know there are a lot of shopping centers or malls or locations that have marketing where, let's say, a grocery retailer is anchoring there. And obviously there's a lot of grocery stores that are standalone, they're in a big box center, and it's really up to the retailer devices to find people and bring them in. But there are a lot of them that are anchored to, whether it's, again, an outlet or lifestyle center or shopping center, where they've got the same challenges.
Yeah. Are you able to measure foot traffic into the store?
We can, so we don't measure the foot traffic into the store. Some of the retailers we work with, or a lot of them, actually have their own foot traffic counters.
Yeah.
So to that point, Gary, they can put 2 and 2 together and say, okay, we pushed out this campaign yesterday at 4 o'clock, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever time, we started to see an increase in foot traffic, and tie a ribbon around it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting, because I'm wondering if if there's a scope for like a partnership with something like a LiveRamp to get additional mobile data to get location to kind of
Yep.
correlate it with, you saw the ad and then you went to the mall or the location.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
there's a ton. Oh, sorry, Gary, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so I think the other general thing, which I know everybody can appreciate, is sort of like the holy grail, is the whole true sort of offline to online attribution. So really, there's a certain line there where it's kind of like at the lease line, because to this point, and irrelevant of the shopping centers, but just in general, right? So if I
Right.
get the grocery flyer and I walk in and they don't have that product in stock anymore or whatnot, and I walk out, nobody knows that Sean came in and was going to buy because he saw X, but he didn't, or I don't know,
Right.
the staff weren't there to help me and I left, etc. So I think that's a big challenge for a lot of retailers, and any of the marketing that they're doing, as you know, is there's so much going on and so much noise. Is how do you know exactly who
True.
came in and bought because of what they saw where, unless there's a coupon code or say this magic word at the POS, right?
That's true. That's true. So this is an interesting, possibly awkward question. So how did retailers react to the whole pandemic when it came to this kind of platform? Because it was driving foot traffic. Did you see any change in approach?
Yeah, actually, great question, Shekar. So what we actually found is a lot of retailers obviously were under pressure once the store started to reopen to get traffic back in, or I mean, gets traffic and sales in general, whether it was in store or online. But I think interesting enough, there was more onus on the retailers to start, I guess I'll say, looking under the rocks, if you will, for opportunities. So I think timing wise, as unfortunate as the pandemic was or is or has been, depending on who you talk to, I think that's put more onus on the retailers to say, okay, we're gonna leave no stone unturned, if you will, to figure out what can we tap into that we're already paying for but not using. And then I think the other interesting part was the pressure on the retailers, because unfortunately, again, right, people got laid off, had to let go, move jobs. It put more onus on retailers to look for ways to streamline and automate and simplify things that were typically, manual, time-consuming, laborious. So I think,
Interesting.
we were there at the right time.
Yeah. Plus, I guess they wanted to reach more customers at the points that they engage with these technologies, right? So.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I mean, they're all looking for new customers and trying to keep existing customers. So the other interesting thing too, which we found, is there's this I think also onus on the retailers of I don't know if keeping up with the Joneses is the right word, but if I'm a jean retailer and I've got 20 competitors in a shopping center, and generally speaking, like, it's all going to be similar competitors when you walk in the mall. And if I know that my competitors are taking advantage of these opportunities and not me, then objectively speaking, I'm literally paying my shopping centers to promote my competitors and drive traffic away from my store, which makes absolute sense.
Subsidizing their ad campaigns and something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Sean. In the world of grocery, particularly when you look across the mid-markets or the regional chains, many of these companies own their own real estate. So many of them, own strip centers, et cetera. And yet I don't think too many of them think in this direction of marketing their property, asking other tenants to maybe help pay into an ad fund or something. Do you think there's an opportunity for them as, landlords in that position to do something in this area?
Yeah, for sure. I think really the dependency on that, Gary, would be the number of sort of tenants in the area. So for example, I mean, if there's a strip plaza that has, anchored by a grocery store and it's got two other tenants, I don't know if that would be meaningful enough of an impact, but I do know there are a number of them out there where there's a decent amount of tenants in that property, irrespective of, I'm not sure necessarily maybe if the grocery store owns it or co-owns it, et cetera. But I do believe there's a lot of untapped opportunities to bring this sort of network or community effect as part of it. So another good example would be even, for example, like business improvement areas or business improvement districts. By definition, they're not a mall or shopping center, but they operate for this context in a similar sort of community capacity of kind of operating like a mall, if you will. So there are a lot of business improvement districts. Like one comes to mind, like Magnificent Mile, where, I mean, it's a high street area,
Right.
if you will, but in this context, they offer marketing to their Magnificent Mile tenants, if you will, which arguably to this point is technically subsidized or paid for by the tax levies and dues that those retailers pay for on Magnificent Mile. So at the end of the day, to this point, it's still being paid for, but not fully utilized.
Right.
That's cool. So do you have any interesting case studies, stories that you guys have encountered over the last few years?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we've got tons. So, I mean, one of the more successful ones is we've been able to show a retailer that we were able to drive an incremental 30% more foot traffic.
Wow,
Yeah.
30%?
Yep, 30% more. Now, again, where the line's drawn is, and it was generally higher ticket item in jewelry, but to this point, where really the line gets drawn is, okay, to this point of the foot traffic counters, the traffic's going up, but if the sales don't change, then generally speaking, that could imply there's a problem with the selling at the store level.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is at that point, I mean, it's out of technically any technology control. That's all just up to
Operations.
selling.
Right.
Yeah.
But then generally foot traffic, you would think has some proportional connection to increase in sales,
Yep.
assuming there's a fixed conversion ratio, right? So,
Exactly. Yep. And we've been able to, on the a hot topic is obviously saving money. So to this point, and this is all on our website as well. So one retailer had 140 stores, and to this point, they had all their store managers doing this work manually, or they thought the store manager were doing it manually. So the simple math was, okay, if you shave an hour off of every store manager a week and allow them to redirect that hour to selling another $500 more every week on the store floor, it's a pretty attractive ROI.
right. And how about segmenting your customers? I mean, the demographic to reach maybe the right customer, like somebody like, I'm just going to take an example, Tiffany's, right?
Yep.
In the mall is probably targeting and wants to attract a certain type of public into their store. Not everybody's going to walk into a Tiffany's. And I'm not sure if they even want everybody to walk into Tiffany's, but how do you go about doing that on your platform? Is that a capability that you offer your customers?
We do. So the retailers that we work with, or the tenants, if you will, to make it a bit more general, because they're all applicable, whether it's a retailer, department store, quick service restaurant, dining, grocery store, etc. We have the ability for them to segment however they want. And the other interesting thing too that we're finding is there is a lot of, which again is part of this whole fragmentation problem, there are a lot of truly local opportunities that go on a property by property level, where again, in the normal course of business, if let's say, just as an example, let's say Mall of America is putting on a fashion event, they're looking for the tenants or certain tenants to get involved in that initiative. But again, typically it falls to the store manager, and the store manager's got to relay it to the district manager, who relays it to the regional VP. And by the time it gets up to marketing, because I went through this firsthand, by the time it gets up to marketing, the fashion show was either tonight, yesterday, or tomorrow. And your hands are tied, because as a retailer, you wanted to participate in it, or you want to be. So specific example for us was when I was at Stitch It, this one shopping center was putting on girls' night out. So they had a bunch of retailers, little soiree, and they wanted participation from certain retailers. And unfortunately, I found out, I think a week after the event, because I saw the press release, and I went to the property and I said, hey, why didn't we get, offered this opportunity? Because we would have loved to. And they said, well, yeah, we gave it to your store manager, and no one's the wiser.
I see lots of opportunities. I mean, you have so many strip malls that either have Starbucks, a Subway, Pizza Hut, maybe your salon,
Yep.
They all have apps of their own, and I can see how potentially maybe a retailer wants to leverage, being able to advertise on those apps to drive additional traffic into their store, because they know they're all coming to that location, right? So
100%.
yeah, no, this is super interesting, and you don't think about all the opportunities that are out there for people to connect. It's just so many ways. That's amazing. Yeah, and
Well, I
I'm
think-
thinking, there's definitely a value here, and most, I'd say 3/4 of grocery stores are probably part of some shopping mall enclave, right?
Yeah.
Very few of them are really purely freestanding supermarkets, and I would think that they're definitely interested, and I know a lot of them are connected directly to either there's a liquor store down the road, there's a pizza shop, there's a pet store. I mean, there's just so many cross connections. In fact, I was talking to somebody else earlier today about coalition marketing. And you think about coalition marketing or coalition loyalty, it's all about trying to figure out how to take advantage of traffic that benefits everybody in that location, right? So
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, the same would be true for the shopping centers, right? Like they basically
Exactly.
have their own coalition, if you will, and they're trying to, again, right? Like just wearing my retailer hat, Mall of America wants people coming into Mall of America, not going to Amazon and shopping or any other e-commerce retailer and shopping, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's a big opportunity for the retailers and the shopping centers. I think is also an interesting topic about really the true, collaboration, which I feel like we're playing a role in to try to make that collaboration easier and get out or alleviate a lot of the.
So I can see in the distant future engagement agents being the premier ad agency for the metaverse. That'd be a great use case. I got my AR, VR equipment on, and I'm walking down the mall somewhere, and you have the ability to pop up these ads across these different VR worlds to drive, clicks into a virtual mall, right? So yeah, super interesting, exciting. Gary, anything else from your end?
No, this is it really is interesting, because I think it's a channel or a way to be thinking about this a lot of retailers and merchants don't typically think of.
And I think, I appreciate the challenges that you have when you're a Foot Locker in a mall and you've got 1,500 locations, and you've got, you're in 20 different ownerships of these malls, and how do you get the message across that's uniform? So yeah, I think it's a great problem to look at, and it's exciting that there are people actually working on solving these problems. So congratulations to you,
Yeah,
Sean.
thank you. Thanks very much. I don't think I would be solving it if I didn't run into the issue firsthand. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's for sure.
No, that's terrific. No, more power to you, and congratulations on all the progress that you've made, and all the very best for the future. So if there's somebody who's listening to this podcast, I'm sure someone's listening, but for the people who are listening to this podcast, what if they need to reach you, what would they do? Just go to engagementagents.com.
Yeah, they can go to engagementagents.com, or my email is Sean, SEAN @engagementagents.com. And obviously we'd love the opportunity to share more about what we do and how we can add value to any tenant or retailer.
Terrific. Well, great. Thank you so much. And by the way, as a parting gift, if you do send us your mailing address, we'll make sure you get one of these coffee mugs.
Perfect.
The Retail Perch, and then
It'll go with my Nespresso.
there you
mug.
go. In fact, I did try the Nespresso, and the Nespresso tastes a whole lot better in the Retail Perch mug. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that. So, and besides, there's
Thank
one
you
more
very
thing you can have in your background, and somebody can say, what's that cool mug and where'd you get it? So
It looked good, right along that,
It did.
alongside that painting back there.
exactly.
Sounds good. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Listen,
for the
great
offer.
chatting with you. Make sure to join us every Monday and connect with us at the Retail Perch on Instagram and Facebook.
And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at theretailperch@birdseye.com.
Until next time, this is Shekar.
And this is Gary signing off.